You are listening to the SDSU Football Podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your hosts Andre Hagverdian and Paul Garrison. Welcome to another episode of the SDSU Football Podcast. I am Andre Hagverdian, and I'm joined by my co-host Paul Garrison. In this episode, we have interviews with two special guests, so let's get right to it. Our first special guest is Jacoby Kelly, wide receiver at Loyola High School in Los Angeles, California, who is part of the Aztecs class of 2022. Kelly will be joining his other classmates as a freshman coming into the program in the summer. He is a 3-star recruit by 247 Sports and Rivals and ESPN, and he was a 2-time first-team All-League selection in his junior and senior seasons as a wide receiver for Loyola. We want to welcome Jacoby Kelly to the podcast. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
So you verbally committed to San Diego State back in October, and you signed on early signing day on December 15th. When I spoke to you a day before early signing day and asked you why San Diego State, you mentioned the coaching staff and the school environment. What was it about the school environment that made you sure that this was a place you wanted to be?
I think my tour that I took, I want to say it was around July or June. When I took the visit, I just felt really comfortable being there, like with Coach Cooper. Like he showed me the in and out of everything inside the school, like the actual academic buildings and then the athletic facilities and everything. And I just loved it. And so did my mother. So we were both kind of comfortable with me committing there when it came down to making a decision.
You had, at least a dozen offers from schools across the country. You were a national recruit who could have played in any time zone, any geographic area in the nation. We had Max Garrison on the podcast earlier, who's also an incoming class of 22 with you. And he spoke about the honesty of the SDSU coaching staff as something that stood out for him. Would you agree? Would you agree with him? And what role did the staff's openness play in your decision?
I would definitely agree on him. That's what I told everybody whenever they asked me why did I make the decision of going to San Diego State. From the first conversation I had with Coach Cooper, he was really upfront with everything. Kind of ran me through how they're going to go about the recruiting process with me, and I think he was just an overall mentor on everything, whether it was with San Diego itself or just the other schools. So I think that was a key part of everything. And also when I got to meet the other coaching staff, they were also very honest with me about everything that takes place within the football program. So yeah, I would agree overall.
That's great, man. Loyola, your high school, is in league play with Max Garrison.
Yeah.
and you all won 6-3. I mean, I don't know how with the way the two of you play offense that the game could be 6-3, but that's what happened.
Right.
But could you give us a little bit of a scouting report on Max and just what you saw kind of as the opposition / future teammate?
Yeah. So I played against Max my junior year as well, because that was the year that we first went into their league, the Angeles League. From the get-go, our main goal for defense was to shut him down. So I guess that alone can tell you about the type of player he is. He's a really gritty player, and he grinds for yards at running back. And I know he's going to play safety at San Diego. But, man, in the backfield, that guy is definitely a threat. But, back and forth, we were both going at it. We couldn't score because our defenses were both focused on shutting every key factor that we had for our respective offenses down. But yeah, it was definitely a great battle going against him. And I can't wait to get to San Diego to play with him, because us on the same team, even if he is on defense, I know it's going to be quite a problem for the teams in the Mountain West and anybody else who we play.
So your future teammate, Tyrell Shavers, he was recently on the podcast, and he described Coach Cooper as the best position coach he has ever had. And from a player who has been to 2 SEC schools, that's high praise. What are your thoughts about playing for Coach Cooper, somebody with that level of respect from the current players in the wide receiver room?
I would say that it's a huge honor to be able to play for somebody as great and as highly respected as Coach Cooper. From coming in, he already showed me the whole offense and everything, and he's made it clear that he knows what to do to make me an elite receiver. And seeing what he's done with the other receivers that are already in the room, I can't wait to be under that sort of guidance, because I want to level up my game to be the best receiver I could potentially be.
You've also spoken about your versatility as a wide receiver, not just being able to catch passes, but also help in the run game. How did you become such a great run blocker as a wide receiver?
Actually, it started my freshman year, my first year going into Loyola. Coach Gabe Marks, he played up at Washington State. And the first thing that he always told us is that if you want to play college football, the coaches that are going to scout you will always pay attention to the person who blocks the best. So we always had an emphasis on blocking drills, whether it was blocking for screens or learning how to just block any path that a defender can take to cut off the running back. We always made sure to get that done. So I would definitely give him the biggest credit for helping me evolve my game in that aspect.
We had Coach Cooper on a recent episode of the podcast. Great interview. He spoke for about 40 minutes. I definitely recommend you listen to it when you have a chance. But one of the things he said, he was talking about blocking, and he was like, my pride, it's no block, no rock, meaning
right.
You're not going to do the dirty work and block. You're not getting the ball. So
right.
You're coming in with the right mentality for sure to play for him.
Exactly. Yeah. I already know that he's going to definitely emphasize that. So it's already good to have that in my repertoire.
So you also play basketball and ran track, including the 100-meter dash in high school. How does participating or playing in those sports make you a better football player?
For the most part, I think it helps really keep up my stamina, because basketball is a lot more fast-paced than football really is. So running up and down the court, it helps me build my endurance more. And then track also helps with speed. I mean, that's the key part of track. So I think those two parts together, it can really help. It really has helped me become a better athlete overall.
Now, Andre mentioned the 100-meter dash. What other track events did you participate in, and what were some of your best times?
I did the 100-meter dash, and then on top of that, I did the 4x1. And I did the 200 one time. I don't know if you can count that as an event that I really took part in. But the 4x1, my 4x1 team, I think our best time was, I want to say a 43, 42, high 42. So it's a solid time, to say the least. And then my 100 time, I ran a 11.2. That was my PR. So I was trying to beat that this year, but I couldn't do it. But it is what it is.
No doubt. That's somebody your age, man. That's fast.
Yeah, right.
and your size, man, because I mean, you're a big kid, 6'3", over 190.
Yeah.
Does that make you the perfect fit on the outside, or do you feel like you have that quick twitch to ability to kind of play in the slot and play everywhere on the field?
I think personally, I think I could switch off. I think I could go to slot, but for the most part, from past experiences playing receiver, I think I work a lot better on the outside. I'm really a red zone threat, and that's also, I can lend that to my height. So I really use that to my advantage as best as possible. And I mean, you can see how far it's gotten me. So
as you're heading into the program in 2022, what are the goals that you've set for yourself, or priorities that you have heading into the program, and what you want to accomplish by the time you leave the program?
Well, obviously, I just want to be the best receiver that I can be for the program in every area that they need production in. I just really want to leave my mark on the program during this first year. Hopefully I can get on the field as a true freshman. Coach Cooper says I have the size to do it. So hopefully I can get in the room and learn the playbook, get that all down, and potentially produce on the field. But yeah, I mean, all around in my game, I think I could fit in whatever they need me to do, whenever they need me to do it. So,
you're also going to be part of the freshman class that gets to open up a brand new stadium. How much of a factor did that play in your decision to come to San Diego State? And how exciting is it going to be to be part of that class that opens it up?
As a factor, I wouldn't say it affected my choice, but it was definitely a bonus.
Right.
Because during my official visit in December, we got to kind of see like the makings of what was already there and what they're currently developing. And it's an amazing stadium. Like, even though they didn't have everything completely done, I can just tell, like, once you have all the seats and all the lights and all the appliances or electronics, whatever you call it, and then the fans on top of that, it's just going to be an amazing environment to be in. But I'm definitely excited to get out there in September and show the fans, like, it's going to be a great season, a great next 4 years.
When will you actually get to campus? Do you have that figured out? Is it going to be early summer?
So for some of us, we're able to go June 6th, I want to say that's the early move-in day. I'm not going to be a part of that group, but my move-in day is July 5th. So yeah, the day after the 4th of July. That's when I'm going to be out there.
And you're coming in with another wide receiver, Hassan Mahasan. Have you been able to connect with him and just see his recovery and the grinding that he's doing to get back to also potentially contribute as a freshman?
Yeah, I've been seeing it. I've been following him on social media. We're all the commits are in a big group chat on social media, so we all keep in touch that way. But yeah, hearing about what he injured and seeing him recover and all that is definitely inspirational. You can tell that he's putting in the work and he's trying his hardest to get back to 100%. You can already tell what type of guy he is. So us both on the same receiving core, it's going to be amazing.
No question, man. That was a great job. We have a handful of questions, man, that are not football related. Help the SDSU Aztec Nation, Aztec fans to be able to get to know you. You ready for them?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food? It's a lot of answers, but I would say the one food I could eat every day is the In-N-Out Double, animal style.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Now, what is like the complete flip side? Like the thing that you can have infrequently, once a year, twice a year, something like that. That's just wildly special that you look forward to.
I would say it's really specific. It's really specific, but the Benihana fried rice with garlic butter on top of it.
There you go.
That's amazing. That's just amazing.
No, when you said that you have a lot of answers to this favorite food, I was like, okay.
I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie if you can't tell.
Oh man, that's great. San Diego is a foodie paradise.
Right. I can't wait.
What's your favorite movie or TV show?
Ooh, favorite movie, Fight Club. I think I've watched that movie about 100 times. Know it in and out. Favorite TV show, it switches every time I find a new TV show is what I've noticed. But I think right now my favorite TV show would probably be Stranger Things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever read the book Fight Club?
No, I haven't. And one of my friends actually, they were just reading those books, or not those books, but that book.
Right.
And I was like, I've never read it. And he said it's really amazing, even though it's basically almost the same thing as the movie. But I'm about to give that a look.
Yeah. It's very similar. Although I will say I found it a little bit more disjointed than like the people who made the movie kind of helped it to wrap it up a little bit better and made you be like, oh, okay. But Fight Club. That's a good call, man. Who was your favorite athlete?
I think my favorite athlete that I watched growing up was probably Calvin Johnson. Mainly just because he's a big receiver and that's kind of who I am. So I like to think of myself sort of in his light, like almost having the same game as him. So yeah, I would say he's my favorite athlete.
Okay, that's good because your bio says Megatron, and if you had picked anybody else, we would have been like, dude, what's up with your bio?
Right.
Who's your favorite musical artist or group?
Oh, easy. Kanye West, greatest artist of my generation. I can say that wholeheartedly.
Now, Andre, you're bigger at this than I am, man. Is Kanye his generation?
Yeah, Kanye came out in 2002, 2003. So
I
a little bit before me.
A little bit, but you're right there. No, I just, like I said, I wasn't. See, Andre knew exactly when his first album.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say this: I'm not a huge fan of Kanye's recent albums.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Trust me.
First 4 or 5 albums are legendary, and he is one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time.
Thank you. Finally, somebody. Well, I mean, a lot of people say it, but I'm glad that you agree with me.
Yeah, I think the Kardashians have ruined quite a few people. And
man, don't get me started, man. Do not get me started on that. Do not.
What's your favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby? I like to play video games. I like listening to music. I think music is something that I'm always doing. Like I'm always listening to a new album or a new genre that I find. I'm just like doing basic kid stuff, reading books sometimes. Yeah, a lot of things like that.
No doubt. What about playing the piano?
Oh, I totally forgot about that. I should have said that. Playing the piano is a secret talent that not too many people know that I can do or that I have. But yeah, I picked it up my sophomore year because I took a class at Loyola. My teacher, Mr. Salenza, he really liked the way like I worked with the piano. He always told me like you should take this a bit further. So I bought my own keyboard because we had to have one for the online, like when we went through COVID protocols and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's become a hobby and I've learned a couple songs, including some Kanye songs as well. So
I mean, that's true. By the way, shout out music teacher. That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
But also, I mean, the fact that you could start your sophomore year and you're already playing songs and doing all that, man, that's impressive.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't easy though. Trust me, it's not as easy as most people would probably think. But I got the hang of it though. I'm a fast learner, I would say.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Secret's out though, man. Secret's out.
Yeah, so, I know. Can we not post this right now? Yeah.
What is are there any majors that you're considering at San Diego State?
Well, I was thinking about doing psych. That was my my main interest, but I could probably switch around. I was thinking about also switching to business, but I don't know. I'm not too sure yet. We'll see what happens in the end. Yeah. Yeah,
no, still very young, a lot of prereqs and things like that to be able to get your major, and so you have a lot of time to decide. That's awesome, man. Those are the questions, man. Well done. Thank you for the interview.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me again.
Our second special guest today is Daniel Bellinger, former tight end for San Diego State, who has been training and preparing for the NFL draft for the past couple months since the Aztec season ended. Bellinger is our first repeat guest on the podcast as he joined us for an interview in episode 7. And he was gracious enough to return for another interview less than a week before the NFL draft, where he will undoubtedly get his name called at some point during the draft. We want to welcome Daniel Bellinger back to the SDSU Football Podcast. You do have the honor of being our first repeat guest, so congratulations.
Feels great. I love talking to you guys.
So, we talked to you in early February. A lot has happened in your life since then, going through the draft process, specifically the NFL scouting combine. By all accounts, you did really well. You were in the top 4 among tight ends in 5 of the 6 events. How was that experience? And, anything about the experience that surprised you or jumped out at you?
Oh, it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was easy just because all the tight ends are super cool. It's cool just making friends with them and talking with those guys. And then, of course, at the combine, seeing Greg and Zach and Dunkel and those guys and getting a chance to talk to them and see how their process went. And, it was just a lot of fun. I think the Senior Bowl was a little bit more taxing with practices and trying to get a playbook down. So I thought it was actually a little bit easier than the Senior Bowl. The interviews were expected just like at the Senior Bowl. So I was prepared for that. And, I was just excited to get out there and show these guys I can run a little bit. So it was fun and I had a great time with it.
All right. So I got one combine story that's a little bit inside that somebody told me. Back in the day, Deion Sanders, they're all arriving at the combine. And there's this room where everybody is going, and it's just this huge grouping of people. And the lines are starting to form. And the lines are really, really long. So Deion Sanders gets up on a table, a chair, and screams at the top of his lungs, "How about we line up by the order that we're going to get drafted in?" Right? And so it's a thing. So give me a story, man. Give me a story about something that took place at the combine from your time there.
No, that's a tough one to beat. I mean, there's nothing crazy like that. Our best thing I got is, we were sitting there when we first came in. I think it was just tight ends, receivers, and quarterbacks when I first got in. So it was just us, and they did a great job of kind of mentoring all that stuff. But we had a few mentors there, and John Lynch gets up there, and he's just looking at all of us, and he's like, "What are you here to do?" And he looks at all of us, and he's asking probably 5 or 6 guys, and each guy is saying something different. Compete. Just do my best, get drafted, all these things. And John Lynch just shakes his head, says no to all of them. He just sits there and tells all of us, he's like, no, you're here to take somebody's job. So you're coming in here to take somebody's job. You're taking a grown man's job who's got 2 kids, who's got a house payment, a car payment. So he kept it real with us and said, hey, we're coming in to take somebody's job. So it was surreal. It was like, it's essentially what we're doing. So it was a little slap in the face to all those guys that said compete. It was like, nope, you're here to take somebody's job, not just compete. So it was a cool moment.
You mentioned it a little bit in your second answer, just about all the other Aztecs that you were able to experience that with. Could you just go into that a little bit more? And just a huge class group that was there, and what it meant to be able to do that with them.
Oh, it meant a lot. We talk about all the time Aztec pride and our legacy, and just coming off a great season and having 6 guys there at the combine was awesome. And, it was great talking to them because it was getting tiring talking to scouts all day about football and all these things. So it was fun to just sit down with Dunk and Zach when they weren't getting interviewed by other guys, and just chop it up with them and see how their experience has been. And of course, Greg's a funny guy. He keeps it real with you too. So it's just funny talking to him about how his experience was different than the other guys. And, it was just fun getting to talk to him, and a little bit of a stress reliever talking to your boys a little bit instead of just random scouts that you've never met before.
Was there, we hear a lot about some drafted players talking about some crazy questions they got asked by a team. Was there anything crazy that was asked of you that you can share with us?
Nothing crazy. I think the funniest one I had is coach asked me if I knew who Porky Pig was. And I was like, yeah, I know who he is. And he asked if I watched any cartoons on him. And I was like, not really, no. But that was probably the weirdest one I had.
Interesting. So you also had your pro day, obviously at the middle to end of March. And there was a lot of current and past Aztecs that came out. We had Jacob Rabb on the podcast, and he talked about kind of a barbecue or get together that everybody had afterwards. What was that day like, and how did the festivities expand past that event?
Oh yeah, no, it was great. It's always fun getting with old teammates and seeing guys there. Parker Houston was there, a guy I looked up to when I first came in. So it was good to just see him and his family, and just talk to these guys and hang out with them again, because we never really know when we're going to get that chance again. So it's fun to really have us all there and just talk about old times and stuff. So it was honestly just a fun kind of reminisce moment.
As you go through this process, you obviously have your parents, you've got your family, your agent, your coaches, maybe teammates that kind of help you. Has there been anybody outside of that group I just mentioned that has given you the best advice or been your main support system?
No, the people you just mentioned are really my main support system. But I've got some good advice from tight end coaches that have come to work me out privately or that I met with on Zoom. They give me good advice just because they're not my friend or anything. So they keep it a buck with me, and they just talk about how you got to come in and be ready to work. Which I was assuming, but they give me a lot of good tips and good points, and just listening to NFL guys that are either in the meeting rooms or who have already played the game for a long time was good experience that I got from them.
With being less than a week away from the draft, man, how are your emotions as the big days drawing near?
Excited, super excited. My family's my dad's probably more excited than I am. He's calling me every day, and I got to keep him limited before it gets out of control. But I'm super excited for it. I think my family's more excited than I am, just because they don't know where I'm gonna go, and they want to buy jerseys and move where I'm at. So they're crazy, but I'm just trying to stay focused on, again, what I'm gonna have to do after the draft. Just staying in shape and and getting ready to work for wherever I go.
So then do you have a plan of like where you're going to be like taking in the draft and all of that?
Yeah. I'm gonna be I'm from Vegas, and my half brother's dad, who works in administration at the hotels, just hooked me up with a suite. So we're gonna be in a suite, just me and the family. We'll get some food and just kind of kick back and relax and really just enjoy the moment.
Incredible. How much attention do you pay to like, mock drafts and like the media who put out all their rankings? I'm guessing Frank, your dad, absolutely is looking at some of that stuff. But for you, how much of that are you looking into and do you pay attention to?
Oh, not too much. I see it. You see the mock drafts all over. They told us at the Senior Bowl and the Combine, don't pay attention to it. Because at the end of the day, one pick will change somebody's entire board. So really, it's hard to really see where I'm gonna land or what round I'm gonna go or what's gonna happen. So it really just depends on the day. If the tight ends go early, I'll go earlier. If the tight ends go later, I'll go later. Like I said, it's exciting and it's kind of fun to watch, and it's definitely a dream come true for sure. But I'm really just trying to get excited for what's after, so I don't really pay attention to it too much.
Each NFL team gets to bring in 30 players to their facilities for visits, interviews, physicals, things like that. And every indication is that teams like to keep these visits secret. Some of the reporters end up leaking visits here and there. But what do the teams tell you about keeping these visits under wraps?
I haven't heard anything about keeping it quiet or secret. I've a bunch of teams ask, where'd you get these visits? Where are you going? Where are you doing this? How are you doing this? And I've gotten no indication that I got to keep it a secret. So I just say whatever.
So that's the perfect segue into, can you tell us which teams you have visited?
Yeah, I've only had one 30 visit, which was the Tennessee Titans. And then I've had a few of the local pro days with the Raiders, Rams, and Chargers, which to me was basically the same thing. Get a chance to really just talk to the coaches, check out the facilities, and I thought it was really cool.
This is the part of the episode where the objective media person in me gets put to the side and the fan in me gets burned up. So I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, right? Gronk who knows if he's coming back. O.J. Howard signed with the Bills. Cameron Brate's on his last legs. Have you been contacted by the Bucs? I know they're looking at tight ends potentially in the draft. What are your thoughts about them? Yeah,
I met with them, of course, again, Senior Bowl, Combine, but I got a chance. They had me a private Zoom call I had with them in the OC a few weeks ago. So I thought it was a good conversation with them, and Tampa would be a cool place to go. But they were super cool, and he was one of the tight end coaches that was at the Combine who helped me a lot with small stuff, and I thought that he was very supportive. So the Bucs are cool.
I'm going to keep my media hat on, and I'm going to put it out there. That I think you're the best tight end in this draft. And that's not going out on a limb. NFL Networks, local guy, said that
Jeremiah.
Yeah, thank you. Said that you were the third best overall. So it's not like I'm going that far out on a limb there. All West Coast guys, got to see them, being in the San Diego and everything. And, you look really, really good in shorts running around. But after all this process is done, man, how excited are you to get to play football again?
Yeah, that's probably the part I'm most excited about, just because, yeah, it's tough doing these like track workouts and getting ready for 40 and jumps and all that stuff. But it just comes down to how you play ball. And so that's what I'm excited about. A lot of the guys that are really, really high up on the stats and the production of these other tight ends. And I think it'll come as long as you just play ball. And so I'm excited to play some ball.
Thank you, Daniel, for joining us on the podcast. We are all very eager to see how and where you get drafted. Some people have their favorites, obviously. But good luck to you, man. And hopefully that the day or the days, because they're split up into three, will be one that you'll always remember.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's super exciting. So we'll see what happens.
Paul, we had a chance to catch up with two guys who are on opposite ends of their Aztec careers. Obviously, Jacoby Kelly is coming on the team in a couple months, and Daniel Bellinger has departed the team. Let's start with Jacoby. What do you think of him, our interview with him, and him just coming in as a wide receiver on the team?
I thought it was really good symmetry. that they were on together at the same time. Like, as you just pointed out, one of them coming in, the other one leaving. Obviously, Jacoby wanting to reach the place where Daniel is now. But of course, I think there's similarities between them as well. Bellinger clearly is looked upon as having more pass catching ability in the NFL than maybe he got the opportunity to at State, but he really laid into the fact that he's going to be a blocker, and that's what's going to help the team win. And so that's what he's going to be about. And then, I mean, a freshman coming in, wide receiver, and he's talking about blocking. I mean, it's possible that he talked more about blocking than Drew as a party that we had on earlier, who's an offensive lineman. I mean, it's really special that he understands that. And then you think about what it looks like for a 6'3", 190-pound player with his speed and his explosion. That's just not a guy who's just going to get in the way. That's going to be somebody who's going to actually be able to be effective in that role. And that's where the big runs come from, or, what that looks like when he has potentially Jordan Byrd behind him catching a screen pass. And so it's a weapon, and that he is such a willing blocker. And then, looking at his huddle video, he's very effective at it. So that was definitely the first thing that jumped out. What about you?
Yeah, size is definitely 6'3". I mean, I mentioned this in the article I wrote about him. There's only one player on the Aztecs roster on the wide receiver unit that's taller than him, which is Tyrell Shavers at 6'6". Breon Penny is also 6'3", so he's tied for second. So when he mentioned that Coach Cooper had told him that he's got the size to be able to play right away, it's not just the strength or the pounds, it's the height too, right? Having that ability. He mentioned he's a red zone threat because of his height. That's key, because Elijah Cody was kind of used in that department in the last couple of years, and he can kind of potentially replace that when you've got a 6'6" Shavers on one side, you've got Jacoby Kelly 6'3" on another side, and then you've got Jesse Matthews in the middle. They can definitely improve their red zone efficiency as well, for sure.
Yeah, and I think just with it's a broken record by this point. I think, again, you see the kind of player that San Diego State likes to recruit. This is another really young man, not only is well-spoken, but he carries around a character and a knowledge of the game, a respectfulness that just kind of seems to be very consistent with the players in the program and the players coming into the program. So I thought that was special. I also thought that it was pretty cool how he gave us a little bit of a scouting report on Max Garrison and talking about playing them in league play. I still don't know how it was a 6-3 game, but nonetheless, I mean, I thought, that he gave us some good insight there. And, he is another one of these recruits who could be playing in Power 5 schools, but chose to come to San Diego State and, play in this new stadium. And I think the program is going to be better for it.
Non-football related, I thought it was really cool how when he was talking about his secret talent of playing the piano. True story, when I was probably 8 years old, my mom put my sister and I in piano lessons. My sister's friend's mom, who was its piano teacher, and my mom signed us up. And after a month, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like it. It's too soft. And I honestly regret not sticking with it, because I wish I had learned how to play the piano. And just looking back on it, I always kick myself like, man, you should. What were you thinking? You're an idiot. I was 8. But it's really cool to hear him talk about how, his high school teacher encouraged him, that he's got the talent to do it more, and he's doing it. So I thought that was really cool.
Completely agreed. And I mean, he's been playing it for 2 years, and he already can play Drake and do all those kind of things. That's Kanye West, beg your pardon. Drake is everyone else's favorite artist. Sorry, Jacoby. And that he can do that, just, it shows, I think, a lot of times what you see is, these athletes who are at this high level, when they can turn that work ethic to other endeavors other than football or other than the sport that they play, it's amazing the other things that they're able to figure out and do, because that's pretty remarkable. That's not to just start 2 years ago is not, it's not that easy to just be like, oh yeah, I'm really good at it. And like, no, that's significant, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then our second interview was with Daniel Bellinger. Obviously, the one thing that I took away, one of the things I took away was just his story about John Lynch getting up there at the combine and basically telling people that you're here to take somebody's job, somebody who has a family and has car payments. It's obviously, people know that, right? If you get the job, somebody doesn't. But just having somebody tell you that when you're a college player going into your biggest 4 days of your life trying to impress teams, and you're hearing this, it's a psychological, it's kind of like psychological warfare, right? They're testing you in another way other than on the field or on football. It's a surreal thing to hear, I would assume, from a Hall of Famer to like college players. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's a little self-serving by John Lynch a little bit. I mean, the narrative on the one hand is always that the NFL is a business, right? And so they'll cut you and they won't even care about you. But that's the flip side of it is that the new players that are coming in are kind of part of that process of doing that. And so I thought it was significant that was the story that Daniel came out with and said, this was kind of that realization of it, that we're not just here to compete. Like we're here to take somebody's job. And, and you just see the business element of it again that stood out. I think just in general, we've obviously spoken to him multiple times, not only on the podcast, but over the years. And just the polished interview that he gave compared to what he had done in the past, you can really tell that he has been working at it, that he's been in front of a lot of interviews, and that he's been doing that. And, he's always been very, very good at it. But it was just a little bit extra. It was just a little bit better at giving that interview. And so that just to see that growth, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, obviously John Lynch, a Tampa Bay Buccaneer legend. We can't go without saying that. But he's Torrey Pines High School too, right?
Yeah, he's definitely a local guy.
He's a North County kid. I couldn't remember if he was Solana Beach or Torrey Pines, but I think I did look it up. It was Torrey Pines. So shout out to John Lynch. The other thing I took away from his comments were about team visits, about how he had only done one official visit. But then, in the Zoom world, he mentioned he had done a lot of visits with a lot of teams via Zoom. So I think a lot of teams probably just use that, and instead of having, flying people in and things like that. Teams also use those visits as decoys as well, and some gamesmanship to try to get other teams thinking that they love this guy, and then maybe jumping ahead of them and drafting that guy when all along they wanted another guy. So, visits, a team could bring in this one guy and talk about him in interviews and then draft someone else, when that guy's available. So you can't pay too much attention on the visits, but the Titans were the only ones that brought him in for an official visit. So it'll be interesting to see whether that's a team that makes a move for him, potentially third or fourth round.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he said that he didn't think any of that kind of stuff was secret. But yeah, it's really funny because you go on to social media and they're treating it like they've discovered the Holy Grail because they figured out who was going to be going to Nashville, or, all these sites, they have all of these incomplete lists of people that they figured out who went to their complex. And so it was just an interesting contrast because everywhere else, it seems like if it wasn't secret, then all of these sites would know all 30 of the visits and it would just be crystal clear what it was. So I definitely learned something in that regard. And I agree with you, man. I think it is such I thought he made a really good point when we asked him about mock drafts and where you're going to be going. And he just says, the reality of it is if somebody loves one of the tight ends and picks them up early, that's going to trigger the other people who want a tight end to get their tight end, and then he has a chance to go quicker. Vice versa, if nobody's in love with them and they just kind of keep dragging on, he could go deeper in the draft. And so it's just what an interesting idea it's just to try to figure that out, you know what I mean? And there's always these guys. I mean, what you must be thinking in his shoes, you know, there's people who go way earlier than expected, and there's people who go undrafted, who everyone said, absolutely, this person's going to hear their name called. And so I think that's a really hard thing. But overall, I mean, you know, we were talking with Elijah Cody, asking him about Bellinger, and he said, you know, when we came into San Diego State, we were the same size. And when we played high school basketball against each other, when we played football against each other, like, we were relatively the same size. And for him to be able to work his way from being, you know, a big wide receiver sized kid to being like one of the bigger tight ends, and, you know, he's also incidentally younger than most of the other tight ends as well in the current draft. It's a real testament to him, to his work ethic, to, you know, what Adam Hall and all of the strength and conditioning and the trainers and all of the different people attached to that, and the job that they did in being able to not put any limits to what his work ethic was going to be able to produce on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the culmination of all that work. You know, it'll take hold.
I mean, if I look at the upcoming draft, I don't think there's going to be anyone drafted on day one from San Diego State. I think that's pretty clear. But I think Friday could be a big day, because I think Cameron Thomas is going on Friday, whether it's round 2 or round 3. I think he's probably late second round. I can see him going mid to late second round. And then Matt Araiza and Bellinger, I think, could potentially be in that third. I think they're third and fourth round right now. So it'll be interesting as that third round comes along. You know, if someone does make a move for a punter like Araiza, and then if a tight end start coming off the board, whether Bellinger ends up kind of becoming one of those first 5 tight ends that gets drafted. So I think Friday could be a big day for San Diego State, potentially with 3 guys getting drafted, but at least 1 with Cam Thomas. So I would say for Aztec fans, stay tuned for Friday, watch the draft, because I think that could be a big day in Aztec history.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, I think all the players that you mentioned, you know, they're going to find a very difficult to find too many rookies who are coming in who are going to work harder than those guys. And I think that's an important quality, because talent will only take you so far. And I think that's another thing that has really jumped out to me about Bellinger and his draft process is, you know, you're just unsure. Is he just a really big guy? Is he, there's a lot of those kind of ideas with it, but no, he's an athlete. I mean, that guy is a world-class elite athlete who also works really hard, who also gives exceptional effort, who also is tough, that he doesn't just win with those qualities, but wins because he is stronger than you. He is faster than you. He can, explode past you, through you. I think he's going to make whatever team selects him feel pretty good about it.
Definitely agree there. So that's going to do it for us. Hope you guys enjoyed the 2 interviews. And obviously the upcoming draft, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this week is going to be a big time. Potentially up to 9 Aztecs that are vying to get drafted. And I would think probably close to half will. And so we'll see where they all end up. And I'm, stay tuned to East Village Times, because we will, cover it as well as we usually cover things. So hope you guys have a good night. You are listening to the SDSU Football Podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your hosts Andre Hagverdian and Paul Garrison.